Today we are going to discuss about analog multiplier IC and its applications. We have already discussed about analog multipliers in our previous class, and we know an analog multiplier is a circuit whose output voltage at any instant is proportional to the product of instantaneous values of two individual input voltages. And these analog multipliers are available as integrated circuits consisting of op-amps and other circuit elements. Here we are going to consider an analog multiplier IC AD633. This is the schematic symbol of AD633 analog multiplier IC. Here we can see this IC consists of 3 op-amps, 1 multiplier junction and 1 summing junction. When we consider this op-amp, here we can see to the non-inverting terminal of this op-amp X1 input is applied, and to the inverting terminal of this op-amp X2 input is applied, and the gain of this op-amp is 1. Hence at the output of this op-amp we will get X1 minus X2, and this X1 minus X2 is actually our Vx analog input voltage. Okay, then if we have only one value, then we will apply that value to the X1 input and we will apply 0 to the X2 input. Okay, hence this X1 minus X2 will be equal to that X1 minus 0, and hence we will get that X1 value as our Vx input. Similarly, this op-amp is for our Vy analog input voltage. Here Y1 is applied to the non-inverting terminal of the op-amp, Y2 is applied to the inverting terminal of the op-amp, and gain of this op-amp is 1. Hence at the output of this op-amp we will get Y1 minus Y2, and that Y1 minus Y2 is our second analog input voltage Vy. Okay. Then the outputs of these op-amps are multiplied together by using this multiplier junction, and we can see that third input to this multiplier junction is 1 by 10 volt. Okay, actually this 1 by 10 volt act as the scaling factor K. We have already seen in our previous class that the output of the analog multiplier IC is Vout is equal to K into Vx Vy. That scaling factor K is here 1 by 10 volt. So at the output of this multiplier junction we will get X1 minus X2 into Y1 minus Y2 divided by 10 volt. This X1 minus X2 is Vx, this Y1 minus Y2 is Vy. Hence at the output of this multiplier junction we can say we will get Vx into Vy divided by 10. Okay, or that 1 by 10 is our scaling factor K. So here actually we are getting that K into Vx Vy. Then the output of this multiplier junction is applied to this summing junction. Then the second input to this summing junction is this Z value. By using this arrangement we can add an additional voltage to the multiplied output if we need. Then we can see the output of the summing junction is applied to this op-amp circuit. Here this op-amp circuit acts as a voltage follower circuit. Hence the output of this op-amp will be same as that of the voltage at the non-inverting terminal of this op-amp, and the output of this op-amp is connected to the output point of this AD633 IC, and hence at this 7th pin we will get the output of this analog multiplier IC, and the output that we get here will be this X1 minus X2 into Y1 minus Y2 divided by 10 volt plus Z. Okay, so this W will be X1 minus X2 into Y1 minus Y2 divided by 10 plus Z, or Vx into Vy divided by 10 plus Z. Then when we consider this IC, here we can see the first and second pin are X1 X2 inputs, the third and fourth pin are Y1 Y2 inputs, sixth pin is our Z input, seventh pin is the output, eighth and fifth pin are the supply pins. Okay, a positive supply voltage is applied to the 8th pin and a negative supply voltage is applied to the 5th pin. Now let's consider the schematic representation or the circuit representation of this AD633 IC. This is the schematic representation of this AD633 IC, and here Vx and Vy represents the input analog voltages, and Vout is our output voltage, and that Vout voltage is K into Vx Vy. Normally that Z input is 0 and hence that is not shown here. And this Vx actually represent this x1 minus x2 and Vy actually represent this y1 minus y2. Then as I said earlier, if we have only one value for Vx, we will apply that value to the x1 input terminal and we will apply a 0 to the x2 terminal. And hence Vx will be x1 minus 0 and hence it will be equal to x1. So the value that we applied at the x1 will be our Vx. Similarly for Vy, if we have only one value, we will apply that to y1 input terminal and we will apply a 0 to the y2 terminal. And hence Vy will be y1 minus 0 or Vy will be equal to y1. Let's now consider some features of this AD633 IC. The main features of this AD633 multiplier IC is, first one, the AD633 multiplier is a 4-quadrant analog multiplier. Here the input voltage can be either positive or negative, that Vx and Vy inputs can be either positive or negative, and also the output can be either positive or negative. Hence this AD633 multiplier is a 4-quadrant analog multiplier. Then the second feature is that it possesses high input impedance and this characteristics makes the loading effect on the signal source negligible. Then the third feature is that it can operate with supply voltages ranging from plus or minus 8 voltage to plus or minus 18 voltage. As we seen in the schematic symbol, we need to apply two supply voltages, a plus Vs voltage to the 8th pin and a minus Vs voltage to the 5th pin. And that supply voltage can range from plus or minus 8 voltage to plus or minus 18 volt. Then this IC does not require external components. For the multiplication operation, we need to apply that Vx and Vy inputs to this IC and then we will get the required output at the 7th pin. There is no need to connect any external components. Then the calibration by user is not necessary here. Then the typical range of the two input signals is plus or minus 10 volt. That Vx and Vy inputs can range from minus 10 volt to plus 10 volt. The minimum value is minus 10 volt and the maximum value is plus 10 volt. Then consider peak input voltages are applied to this IC. That means Vx and Vy are 10 volts. Then the peak magnitude of output voltage is 10 into 10 divided by 10 volt, because Vx is 10, Vy is 10 and our scaling factor K is 1 by 10. Okay, hence Vout will be 10 into 10 divided by 10 and that is equal to 10 volt. Thus it can be noted that as long as Vx is less than 10 and Vy is less than 10 volt, the multiplier output will not saturate. Let's now consider the different multiplier quadrants and the transfer characteristics of this IC. This figure shows the multiplier quadrants and the transfer characteristics of this 4-quadrant analog multiplier. As we said earlier, this is a 4-quadrant analog multiplier. This Vx can range from minus 10 volt to plus 10 volt. Vy can range from minus 10 volt to plus 10 volt. And here we can see in this transfer characteristics, the input Vx is marked in this x-axis. Okay, so here we can see the Vx value is ranging from minus 10 volt to plus 10 volt. And here we can see the Vy values are marked here. For different Vy inputs, we have different lines. Okay, for Vy equal to 0, we need to consider this horizontal line. For Vy equal to 2, we need to consider this line. For Vy equal to 6, we need to consider this line, like that. Okay, here we have the positive Vy values and here we have the negative Vy values, 0, minus 2, minus 6, minus 10, like that. Okay, then here we have the output Vout. So here we can see the Vx input can be positive or negative, the Vy input can be positive or negative, and hence the output can be either positive or negative. And hence this AD633 IC is a 4-quadrant analog multiplier IC. Now from this transfer characteristics, we can calculate the output voltage for a given Vx and Vy inputs. As an example, consider Vx value is minus 4 volt and Vy value is 6 volt. Then to calculate the output for that inputs, we need to extend from this -4 point vertically towards this Vy equal to 6 line, and intersection of that 2 points corresponds to our output voltage. Okay, then as a second example, consider Vx value is -6 and Vy value is -10 volt. The -6 point of Vx is here and the line corresponds to Vy equal to -10 is this one. Okay, so we need to extend from here vertically to this line. Okay, so intersection of that two will give our output voltage. Okay, let's now consider the applications of this multiplier IC. There are different applications for this multiplier IC, and here we are considering the applications as a voltage squarer, a frequency doubler and a voltage divider. Let's first consider the application as a voltage squarer. So this figure shows the analog multiplier IC connected as a squaring circuit. To obtain a squaring circuit, we need to apply the same input voltage to both Vx and Vy input terminals. Okay, what will happen if we apply the same input voltage to both Vx and Vy? We know the output voltage Vout of the analog multiplier is Vout is equal to K into Vx Vy, and if Vx equal to Vy equal to Vi, then Vout will be K into Vi into Vi. Hence Vout will be equal to K into Va square. So we can see the output voltage Vout is proportional to the square of the input voltage, and hence we will get a voltage squarer circuit by using this arrangement. Then the input voltage can be either positive or negative, represented by any corresponding voltage level between 0 and 10 volt. Then this application can be extended for frequency doubling applications. Let's now consider that application. This is the arrangement of analog multiplier IC as a frequency doubler. Here we can see the connection is exactly same as that of a voltage squarer circuit. Here also we can see the same input voltage is applied to both Vx and Vy inputs. Here in this arrangement, the inputs are applied to X1 and Y1 input terminals, and this X2, Y2 and Z are zeros, or we will apply a 0 to this X2, Y2 and Z points. Since this X2 and Y2 are zeros, our Vx is X1 and Vy is Y1, and here we are applying a sinusoidal input signal of particular frequency to this Vx and Vy points, and at the output the frequency of the output signal will be double that of the input signal. Let's now consider how this circuit works. To know how this circuit works, consider Vy as Av into sine 2 pi ft. This is the general form of a sinusoidal signal. Av is the peak amplitude of the sinusoidal signal and f is the frequency of that sinusoidal signal. And here in this frequency doubler circuit, we are applying the same input to both Vx and Vy terminals. Hence, as we seen in the previous case, our output will be K into Vi square. Okay, and here our Vi is Av into sine 2 pi ft, and hence Vout will be equal to Av into sine 2 pi ft into Av sine 2 pi ft divided by 10. Okay, and that is equal to Av square divided by 10 into sine square 2 pi ft. Then we know the sine square theta is 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by 2. Hence we can replace this sine square 2 pi ft as 1 minus cos 4 pi ft divided by 2. Hence we can replace this sine square 2 pi ft as 1 minus cos 4 pi ft divided by 2. Then we can write this one as Av square divided by 20 into 1 minus cos 4 pi ft. Then we can rewrite this term as 1 minus cos 2 pi into 2f into t. Okay, so here we can see the frequency is now double that of the input frequency. Our input frequency was f, and here the frequency of the output signal is 2f. Okay, so by using this arrangement we can double the frequency. Now as an example, consider our input voltage Vi is equal to 5 sine 2 pi into 10,000 into t. Okay, so our Av or the peak amplitude of the sinusoidal signal is 5 and the frequency of the sinusoidal signal is 10 kilohertz. Let's now check how we will get the output for this input signal. So our input voltage Vi is 5 sine 2 pi 10,000 t. We know our output voltage Vout is equal to AV square divided by 20 into 1 minus cos 4 pi ft. AV is 5 volt, hence we can replace this AV by 5 and hence this term will be 5 square divided by 20, and I am rewriting this 1 minus cos 4 pi ft term as 1 minus cos 2 pi into 2f into t. Okay, then this 5 square divided by 20 is 1.25 and hence we will get 1.25 into 1 minus cos 2 pi into 20,000 into t. F is 10,000, hence 2f will be 20,000. Then I can write this term as 1.25 minus 1.25 into cos 2 pi 20,000 into t. So here we can see the input frequency is 10,000 or 10 kilohertz and the output frequency is 20 kilohertz. Hence at the output the frequency is double. Let's now check how we can plot this waveform. When we consider this output equation, here this 1.25 term is a DC component and this cosine signal is riding on that 1.25 volt and the peak value of the cosine signal is 1.25 volt and here we have a negative sign. Hence when we plot this one, it should be like a minus cos signal. Okay, let's now check that waveforms. So this one is our input signal. Okay, the frequency of this input signal is 10 kilohertz. Then this is our output signal equation, and as I said earlier, this 1.25 is a DC term and our output signal is riding on this 1.25 volt. That 1.25 DC term is shown by this dashed line. Okay, then here we have a negative sign, so when we plot this cosine waveform it should be minus cos. Okay, so here we can see it is minus cos, it is starting from this 0 point. Okay, and the amplitude of this cosine signal is 1.25 volt. The peak amplitude of this cosine signal is 1.25 volt. So this is our DC line, so its positive peak will be 1.25 volt above this DC line. Okay, and its negative peak will be 1.25 below this DC line. Okay, so this negative peak will be at 0 and this positive peak will be at 2 times 1.25 volt and the frequency of this cosine signal is 20 kilohertz. Hence within one cycle of the input signal we need to plot 2 cycles of the output signal. So this is our input and output waveforms for an input voltage Va is equal to 5 sine 2 pi 10,000 t. Now if we want to remove this DC component from the output, then we can remove it by connecting a 1 microfarad coupling capacitor between the output terminal and a load resistor across which the output can be observed. Let's now consider the application as voltage divider. We know a voltage divider circuit produces the ratio of 2 input signals. This is the circuit diagram to obtain a voltage divider circuit by using a multiplier and an op-amp. Here this V numerator and V denominator represents our input signal. This V numerator comes at the numerator and this V denominator comes at the denominator. Then here we can see this multiplier is connected in the feedback path of this op-amp and this V denominator forms one input to the multiplier and the second input to the multiplier is the output of this op-amp VOA. Then the output of this multiplier VOM is connected back to the inverting terminal of the op-amp in the feedback loop. Then here this resistance is R, our input resistance. This R is the feedback resistance and this RC is the compensating resistance. Let's now look how this circuit works. We know the output of the multiplier is K into Vx Vy and here Vx is V denominator and Vy is VOA. Okay, and hence the output of the multiplier VOM is equal to K into VOA into V denominator, and this is our equation 1. Now apply KCL at this node A. Here we can see I1 and I2 are the currents that comes into the node A, and we know there is no current flow into the op-amp. So the current that flows into this op-amp is 0. So when we apply KCL at this point, we will get I1 plus I2 is equal to 0. Okay, so we will get I1 plus I2 equal to 0 by applying KCL at node A. Now we are going to write the equation for I1 and I2. We can see I1 is the current that flowing through this resistance R. When we consider this resistance R, at this point the voltage is V numerator. And what is the voltage at this point? By virtual ground concept, the voltage at this point is 0. Hence the current that flows through this resistance is V numerator minus 0 divided by R, or I1 is equal to V numerator divided by R, where this R is the input resistance. Then what is the equation for I2? When we consider this I2 current, it is the current flowing through this resistance R, and here we have VOM voltage and here we have 0 voltage. So I2 is equal to VOM minus 0 divided by R, or I2 is equal to VOM divided by R. Then substitute these values in this equation. Okay, hence we will get I1 plus I2 equal to 0, or V numerator divided by R plus VOM divided by R is equal to 0. Okay, or from this we can write V numerator divided by R is equal to minus VOM divided by R, and from that we can write VOM is equal to minus V numerator, and this is our equation 2. Now substitute the equation 1 in this equation 2. Our equation 1 was this one, VOM is equal to K into VOA into VDA. So for this VOM, substitute this one. Okay, hence for this VOM we need to substitute this K VOA into V denominator. Okay, hence we can rewrite this equation 2 as K into VOA into V denominator is equal to minus V numerator, and from this we can write VOA is equal to minus V numerator divided by K into V denominator. So this VOA is proportional to the ratio of this V numerator and V denominator. Hence at the output of this op-amp we will get the ratio of this V numerator and V denominator inputs. Then this V numerator can be positive or negative voltage, and V denominator can have only positive values to ensure negative feedback.